This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, children of the Thames? This is Steven, your host with Mythology Podcast. I have my lifelong friend Ben here. We are talking about the Rivers of London. First book is also known as Midnight Riot. I'm not sure exactly what the backstory is on that. I think it might just be US marketing because the
Yeah, this
series is
is
Rivers of London, but the book is Rivers of London, so it's a little confusing.
this is the classic. What was the Harry Potter name change at first? Like the Philosopher's Stone versus the
Sorcerer's Stone, yeah,
Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah,
same kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. I guess we here in the United States are incapable of having fancy names. We have to go with base level names like Midnight Riot and Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes. Midnight Riot. What is that like? What does that even mean?
I don't know. It's a little
Relate? Yeah.
crasser though than Rivers of London for sure.
So, urban fantasy. We've read a couple big urban fantasies. Probably the ones that we've read the most are Dresden and Alex Verus, and we've started the Stephen Oakwood series. The first two books are out. So those two from Benedict Jaka are also in London. Dresden, obviously, over in Chicago. So this is yet another urban fantasy, and I think we both enjoy the genre pretty well. And there's like
Yeah.
a few staples to the genre that seems like most of these popular ones seem to have, and seems like Rivers of London has a lot of those same like major things.
Yeah, for sure. I picked this up because I needed a quick punchy book to play as I demolish our like bathroom, and this really fit that mood well. So
Mhm.
if anybody else is doing any DIY demolishing, then this is a great book
Okay,
recommendation.
so you were really swinging the hammer,
I was, yeah.
busting stuff up. Okay.
I can post a time lapse of me demolishing some of the shower while listening to this book.
So to kind of keep like, what are the main plot points of the urban fantasy? We've got the protagonist, first person, typically, first
Yeah,
person protagonist, kind of a common folk person, unassuming hero who's come into some
yeah.
magical powers.
Kind of down on his luck a little bit,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
world's kind of kicked him around a bit, but you know that he has a lot left in him to offer.
Right. There are going to be obviously encounters with mystical arts and also like a series of fae or vampires or werewolves or kind of like your usual cast of well-known monsters and magical creatures that you'd see at a random Halloween party that are all here in like a different way.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if if this is a staple of the genre or if it's just a staple of um I don't know, but there's lots of curvaceous women in this as
Yeah,
in
it seems like it's
yeah.
pretty common that the women are all very beautiful and there is like they are available to the main character is usually what happens. Not really sure why this is necessary for urban fantasy, but it often is.
It kind of is, yeah. I would say less than Alex Ferris. I didn't get it as much in Alex Ferris, and same with
Yeah,
Stephen Oakwood.
yeah,
Benedict Jaka, I
not
feel like has
not
kind of
quite as
stayed away
much.
from it as much, but definitely in Dresden, I feel like a little bit here too. But maybe that's just because we're following like down their like 20 something year old,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I think
and
part of it is the protagonist is a first person 20 something man, and he's that you're going to be interested in
yeah,
any woman, right, that looks at you. And there's kind of, I mean, not everyone is like that obviously, but like in this case, it kind of seems to
yeah,
be that way. And also uh the magical beings are obviously going to be hot because they are
yeah,
magical. And if you're magical and can sculpt your body, then why not be super hot? So that's
then
why
why
that
not?
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
there's
and
obviously a
and
reason
if
for
you
that.
couldn't pick up on that, that was spoken with like a layer of sarcasm, but also like I kind of get it.
Right. I mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
if you're able to sculpt whatever body you want, then you're not gonna mess
Yeah. Why
around,
not?
you know?
Why not be hot? Right. Exactly.
Um, so yeah, I think that there are a lot of almost copy and paste elements at this point um to this genre. This book was published back in 2011, so it's not like it's I think that was probably right during when was the first Dressman book published? Um
I'm
it's
gonna say mid 2000s, but that is a good question.
yeah, let's see.
Stormfront, Jim Butcher,
2000. There you go, I think.
2000. Okay.
Yeah, so we're a solid 10 years into at least a popularization of
Yeah.
you
Not
know,
that that's like the only urban fantasy series out there, but like that is a very popular one.
is very popular. Yeah. So Um, I didn't get any like for sure in Alex Veras there was like a very I forget what it was, but it was like you could tell that he was referencing and kind of paying homage to Dresden. I didn't really get anything in this book that did that in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, neither did I. In fact, in the first Alex Ferris book, there's a line where he's like, and I even heard of a wizard in
A
Chicago that was
Wizard
the
in
same in the
Chicago.
phone
Yeah,
book.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So there was that. No, I didn't. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, they're like different enough styles of books where you
Sure.
don't really need
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Um yeah,
they're
so
all
what
they're also all shorter, episodic types of
Mhm.
things. I have no idea if the series gets into like a larger conflict or if it just keeps on being kind of like every book is a new episode in the adventures of Peter Grant and Nightingale and friends. We'll see. We've only
I
read
mean,
one.
for sure. I mean, I guess we're kind of transitioning into, let's start transitioning into spoilers since there's,
Yeah,
I think, but it for sure seems like it's going to be a more episodic thing based on the formula that this book started, right? I mean, there was
yeah.
a mystery that was resolved while leaving things open for the future.
I mean, my assumption is that the whole like river children, god, goddess, whatever you want to call them, courts, like that thing will continue to brew and be a bigger conflict in each book. Like more will be added to that. And
Yeah,
like that will become the larger conflict. But each episode will, or each book will have a police type of episode where they've got to solve a case and it all kind of connects pretty similar to what happened in this first book, right?
yeah, and the murder investigation team will always be kind of standing in their way, but not really. And there's going to be
Mm,
like Leslie, like some interesting dynamics with Leslie. Yeah, so there's gonna be very episodic nature, but I think that hopefully because that's what made I feel like Alex Ferris and Dresden so far so special is that they're able to kind of sculpt this overarching, world and
yeah,
narrative, and so hopefully we'll see how well. It's hard to judge it based on the first book of any of these series,
right,
but
right. Yeah, those two series were able to each book each book built upon and like used the same formula, but it expanded more and more and then became like kind of this big thing now. And I mean, I don't know, maybe some people like the more episodic nature, but I also like the bigger thing because I think that leads to more like room for things to grow and change and be interesting.
yeah. So I think right now there's I think 9 books in the series with some additional like comic strips and stuff from what I was reading. So there is
Okay.
definitely a world that's been built out. And reading online, it seems like there's a decent number of fans of the series
Mm.
that have really enjoyed it. So I'm excited. I don't know if I would have kept on reading the series. Um, Again, I read it a few months ago, and I didn't even realize you were reading it too. But like, my point is, I don't know if I would keep on reading it unless I had somebody reading it with me. If that
Mm.
kind of tells you um, my enjoyment level, and it might be one of those series that I kind of come back to if I'm just kind of in a reading slump and like, hey, I need something fast. What's
Yeah.
what's a quick story to get behind?
Yeah,
So
I could see myself hopping into another adventure, just if I need like you said, if I needed something to be exciting and kind of guaranteed like fast moving plot and
yeah,
it's a book that I think it's series that's always easy to jump into and you're not committing to too much.
Yeah.
That said, like, yeah, I didn't like it quite as much as Dresden or Alex Verus or other things that we've read. I think my main issues, so I thought about this a little bit because we read this as a book club book for the month, last month, with our Discord community. And just shout out if you want to join our Discord, the episode, or sorry, the links to join are below in the episode description. And every month we do a book club where we read a book together and then we chat about it for an hour or so. And that just kind of lets me think about it a little more. Anyway, so the reasons why I didn't like this quite as much were I didn't like Peter very much. Like the first person narrator, I feel like this is a big issue. Like I should really care about this person, and I didn't like him very much. He came
Mm.
across to me as kind of a cold, dispassionate person, and there was we talked earlier about like how attractive all the women were, but there, I mean, along with that, there was a male gaze thing that was definitely happening, which I think some people are going to be turned off with. Uh, that does happen in other series as well, and uh, I guess it's something that people have to kind of decide how they feel about. I think there's lots of popular romantasy books right now that have a female gaze problem, if you will. But this one had it, and it's kind of awkward because it was always like uh, depicted in this like this woman was really hot, and then I got an erection, and it was like,
Yeah.
that's kind of like brass
Yeah, I don't
to
like
read
that.
about. Yeah. So there's that, and also I'm kind of ranting here, so feel free to respond to whatever you want out of this. But I didn't like how he felt about Leslie because I felt like Leslie was set up to be the main romantic interest in the
Uh-huh.
series going forward. Maybe Beverly Brooke, the river daughter, as well. I don't know. Maybe this is like a love triangle that we're setting up or something. But he like likes her, but at the same time, he doesn't really care about her too much. Like when they discovered that she was the undercover person and or for the main villain, right? And was had this curse upon her that was like probably gonna kill her and to kill these other people. He didn't really seem like all that concerned about saving her life and wasn't like emotionally struck too hard from what I remember. He's just kind of like, okay, like let me figure out, like get this doctor involved and I'll like bandage up her face and save her life. But he was never like, oh my gosh, like I really like this girl and she could die. Like, I don't know. I didn't like that, especially and just overall, he was just kind of this cold person. In a first person book, I need to feel like the emotion, the passion behind the character, whoever it is. And this guy, Peter, don't care for it. I probably just
I can
ranted
see
for like
that.
five
Yeah.
minutes, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I do appreciate all that. Obviously, the whole male gaze thing is it's annoying because you never know how much of that is like the author showing through or just how the character is supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because that's always the debate, right? Like, is is this just how is this the author like just writing a character or is this author writing the way that he views women, right?
Yeah,
So that's always
yeah.
kind of hard to parse out.
Yeah, and like
Second,
maybe he's saying, maybe the author's thinking, well, this guy's single, he's 20 something. He's
yeah,
obviously
exactly.
gonna be like pretty interested in women. This is how 20 something year olds kind of stereotypically react. Therefore, this is how the character is.
Yeah, could be, right? That could be. And but I think that in order to write a character that way, you have to have characters that aren't written that way and to kind of like get a like so that the rest of the world can see that that you know that this isn't how everybody views women, right? Like I think
Mm,
that that's the balance that should be trying to be struck, which
mm,
I don't know if was achieved in this one. Um, I do agree that it did seem very like dispassionate when the when his main love interest was kind of mortally wounded because I think that that's what makes a good author, right? You have to be able to like have those lines of like, oh, like, and then ice came through my veins and I couldn't feel, I wouldn't know how I would get past this, or my, world became like whatever, whatever language you have to muster up to
mm.
show that you care a lot about this person. You have to have those lines in there, and it didn't feel like that happened. Now, maybe Peter was like did care a lot about her, but I do agree that we didn't really see that. Um, I think to balance out the criticisms that you levied, I think that the way that race was treated in this book was quite good. We have like this um like biracial individual who is able to like seamlessly like navigate the multicultural London and
Uh,
able
yeah,
to
London
interact
was
with
depicted really accurately where like everyone is a different race.
yeah.
Almost like that is London. Yeah.
Yeah, and how like it wasn't treating like those ethnicities weren't there, but like it was treating it as if these were actual people that like had
Mhm.
individual personalities. And I will say that that was like a pro. Like I think we were like very have been pretty critical. I think that that's I think uh is in this
Yeah.
Twitter world that we live in, I would say a pro for the for this book.
Which was like, yeah, I'm with you there. And kind of interesting because the author, yeah, we're going Ben Aaronovitch. Anyway, I think he's from London. It's interesting that he wrote this like multicultural book with a biracial protagonist, like pretty well represented. I think I feel like
You wouldn't have the
I would be a
yeah.
little, I would want to, like, if I was going to do that, I would be very concerned about treating race correctly. And so I
Yeah.
would probably be a little concerned about making my protagonist a race that I'm not, because I just wouldn't think that I would represent it super well. But I mean, from my reading, I thought it seemed like pretty good, pretty natural.
Yeah, and I've read like a few reviews of the book of people that like are not normal looking white dudes, which even saying that, you're implying a norm. But yeah, and that's the point. It's like even whenever you start talking about race, like you have the ability to like make gaffes like, like
Yeah,
um
you can easily put your foot in your mouth like I might have just done. Right.
yeah, exactly. But I had that impression when I was reading it. I read some other like reviews of the book that also agree with that impression. So I think that I'm confident saying that that was like a pro for the book. Um, Other pros for the book that is that I do feel like it immersed you in London. I've only been to London once, and that was a very abbreviated trip, but I could like for sure like almost like smell the London air when I was reading the book, which was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been once as well for a week or so. And yeah, as I was reading, I thought I thought this did a better job of the Alex Verus series in just like immersing me in the feel and vibe and like setting of London. It was very,
Yeah,
and part of it might have been the writing too. Like it's very British writing. I thought the writing was quite good. It was funny throughout, just
yeah,
kind of short and quippy, and it had that like British Joe Abercrombie, not like the darkness to it, but just like that implied humor and sarcasm throughout. And I think that almost made it more London, if you will, but also like the descriptions of the places that he was at, like it just felt very authentic.
yeah, very convincing. Like you can tell he probably rides the train in London like every day on his way to
Hmm.
like this coffee hangout to write his book. Um,
Right.
yeah, so that was good. Let's see. I'm there. I think some other good parts of the book are, I think that he has a very real relation. Like Peter has a very understandable relationship with like his like mom and his father who um passed away. Like all these different relationships I think are balanced very like in a very real way. Um, I think that it does a good job of showing how somebody could kind of move throughout life with what from the outside looks like a lot of purpose, but from his perspective, like, I mean, kind of just going from thing to thing, right? Like he just didn't, he's not super passionate, I don't think, about being a police officer or even being like a
Mhm.
police officer wizard. He's just like, oh, I guess I can see dead people now. Like how,
Yeah, it was kind of interesting how like he wasn't too mesmerized about magic being a thing now. It was kind of
yeah, he
matter
just
of
kind of,
fact, like,
yeah,
okay, yeah, magic's real, and I'm gonna start training in it, and like here it is.
I guess this is my life now. Yeah. Yeah. So
Also, is his father dead, or is he
is
just
it? Oh,
like
is he
a
not?
junk? Is he a junkie that he just like has a hard time getting involved with nowadays? I don't remember. I might
He
be
might be.
mixing
I
up
don't
the
remember
plot
either.
of this and parts of White Collar that I'm watching right now. So let us know if we. I don't remember. I don't remember. It's not a big thing in this
Yeah.
book, at least.
No, it is a big thing that his father is like a jazz musician, like a relatively big thing, I guess. I don't know.
Right, right.
Um,
What did
I
you
think
think of
that
like the two magical courts of the, the mother and father Thames?
I had a hard time with that because it didn't relate to like the actual mystery that we were trying to solve, right? It just felt kind of shoehorned in there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it could have
yeah,
been stronger if they were related to the police side of things. Like
yeah,
Dresden, whenever there's supernatural stuff going on in Dresden, it's related to the mystery that he's trying to solve. Although to be fair, Dresden's not really working with the police, but I mean, he usually takes cases from humans, right? And
Murphy.
then
I mean,
from there, yeah, yeah, with Murphy as well. I guess
yeah.
not as directly as like being employed by the police,
No, but
but
I mean,
still an agent of
basically,
the yeah.
Peter's set up to be like on this supernatural task force or whatever. I mean, he's
Yeah,
basically an
yeah,
appendage of the
yeah,
police
you're right.
force. Yeah,
It's really not too different than Dresden. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah, get this together. Make this work together a little more. I
yeah,
I don't know if I was super interested in the two river courts, to be honest. Like
yeah.
that's gonna have to be cooler for me to get involved to be like really invested if that becomes the big conflict. Because it seems like there's these two just like squabbling factions, and there's not a lot of like
They're like
awesome
engaged in, yeah, they're
coolness
engaged in like
to yeah.
petty vandalism at this point. Like that's
Yeah.
about as intense as it gets. Yeah.
Yeah, I need this to be cooler for sure. Like the supernatural elements in Dresden and Alex Verus are just cooler. Like
Yeah.
elements
Yeah.
of awesome like higher. So
Yeah.
we need more here from this
We
big
do.
element.
What did you think about the big kind of twist that the villain ghost was who he interacted with at the beginning?
I thought that was interesting. And
Yeah.
you learn that the ghost is the spirit that's trying to recreate this play and use people as like agents of chaos, and they end up dying horribly. Like it came together pretty well. It definitely felt like it felt like good writing, like the way that a episodic like serial police show might come together, where you realize how it all like it was good.
Yeah. It was
It
good.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it worked.
Yeah. I agree. But it was it's crazy because there was such like big uh like ramifications from this that you would assume like what am I trying to say? I guess I haven't read the second book, and so I don't know. But like if this was to actually happen in the real world, like it would be like 9/11, right? Like, if the whole like theater, like people started going crazy and like there was
Mm.
fires all over the place and like riots all over, it would be like
Yeah,
this big like cultural
they
like
just kind of cover
monumental
it up.
event that yeah, that wouldn't be able to be covered up. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
so I don't know. That's kind of because I feel like in Dresden, at least like in the first books, you have like things happen, but it's very easy to say that there's a world within a world. You know what I mean? Like there's this supernatural world that is kind of apart from everything else. And that's what I feel like this book was aiming to do too. But I feel like at this point, already at the end of book one, you can't cover that up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean Dresden is a little hand wavy, where it's like mortals are accustomed to not seeing magic, therefore, they're not like they don't even accept what they see, and they cover it up a different way. That's a little hand wavy, but
it's a little
yeah,
hand wavy, but I also don't think you have like all out. You for sure do later on in Dresden, but like the first
yeah, you
few
do.
books of Dresden, yeah, the first few books of Dresden is not like that. You have isolated murders where people,
Okay.
at least that's my
Yeah, yeah.
memory, at least for the first
Yeah.
like five books or something.
Yeah. No, fair enough. And here we have like the downtown London being yeah, theater going up in terrible violence and this like riots throughout the city.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's
Like
gonna be
immediately. And again, he seems kind of like, this happened. Like, good thing I didn't get caught or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
kind of doesn't really care that like this huge, like terrible terroristic event happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, he's kind of just feel like he's kind of dispassionate. He should have more. When I read a first person story, like I want to feel the struggles that they're going through. And
Yeah.
like things are not super great for him, but I don't really feel that. I just kind of feel like this is the next day at work. This is the next day at work. This is what happened today. Like it's just kind of there's this like separation from who the character really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe I am hopeful that that changes eventually. And like especially if you want to read the next few books, I'm down to. And I am hopeful that it'll get a little bit more personal because obviously
Mhm.
you don't write 9 books that has like a decent following without having something click.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
So if you're watching and you're a big fan of the series, like let us know what we can expect in future books. Let us know what details we missed because that
yeah, make sure
happens,
just
right?
comment down below or join the
Yeah.
Discord. Yeah.
Yeah. Comment below, join our Discord. Again, the links to join are in the episode description below. And we don't have a channel set up specifically for this, but there are plenty of channels in the Discord in which you can engage in conversation with the fun little fantasy community.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Ben. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Steven.